capacity of both for-profit and not-for-profit childcare providers in Bay County. The intention is to increase both capacity to serve our youngest ones, as well as the quality of care that we are able to provide to those little ones. Maddie, can you switch to the next slide, please? Thank you. So you may have heard the message that this webinar is being recorded. And if you run into any technical issues, please contact us through the chat box. Hopefully you'll be able to access that. Maggie Dwan is here with us and she will be handling all technical issues. If you get dropped from the call and you're worried about it, please don't worry. We will be posting this webinar on our website, which is bayfoundation.org. There will be a link right on our homepage, so you will be able to access all of the information, as well as the funding guidelines that our team will go through with you today. And again, we're going to be using the chat box, not only for technical difficulties, but also for you all to ask questions. Next slide. So our goals for today in this conversation is to share with you who is eligible to apply for this funding, to give you a head start on collecting your list of documents you're going to need to be able to submit a completed application, how the grant funds can be used, the timeline we are looking at for this program, as well as how to actually apply and start your application. And the folks that are going to be talking with you today, again, I introduced myself, Diane Mahoney. Joni King is our program officer at the Bay Area Community Foundation, and Maddie Searing as our program associate. They are the program team that have been working on this project from the beginning. And of course, I am guessing everyone on this call knows Rich Van Tol. So he has been our expert resident, been guiding us through this entire process to make it accessible and easy for all of you as providers. He's with the Great Start Collaborative through the Bay Aranac Intermediate School District and has been instrumental in this effort since day one. So Rich, I'd like to turn it over to you to see if you have any questions to share, and then Joni and Maddie are going to jump in with their comments.
Sure. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be here. Just wanted to provide maybe a little bit of context to this funding opportunity. So I'm sure all of you, were aware that during COVID, one of the biggest challenges for employers, employees, families, indeed our community, was childcare. And COVID actually represented a pretty big hardship on childcare providers as well. So we had to really sort of pivot and reimagine what our early childhood ecosystem might look like in the future as a result of the implications of COVID. So we started to embark on a process. One of them was funded through the Bay Area Community Foundation. We partnered with the Legacy Center for Student Success. They had done a child care capacity study for Midland County, and we wanted that replicated for Bay County. And so the foundation, Diane and Joni and the team were able to find some funding to fund the capacity study. And we had some current data with regard to child care supply in the early learning ecosystem to sort of represent kind of coming out of COVID, the capacity that was lost, and the need to continue to do some, to really focus in on some robust efforts to build childcare capacity. I am going to put in the chat box real quick here for, I'm not sure I can get that to everybody. Joni, you may need to get that out to everybody. I think it went right to you. But in the chat box is really a repository, a comprehensive list of all of the strategies that are in process, that are either being implemented now or will be implemented, and supports through the federal government, through the state government, and through our local community to be able to help support childcare providers and or entrepreneurs that are looking to start a childcare business. So I've maintained, it's probably not exhaustive, but a pretty good list of support and resources. So this is one of those supports and resources that are available to our community as a result of ARPA dollars through Bay County. So back by at least a year ago, the city of Bay City and the county of Bay were looking at how to best use their ARPA dollars. to support community economic development and talent. We made a pitch to both the city and the county to allocate at least a portion of their ARPA dollars for childcare purposes. This is the portion that was allocated by the county. So the county agreed to support to the tune of $300,000 funding ARPA dollars, federal ARPA dollars, pass that over to the community foundation. The community foundation has then done a great job of putting together an RFP to be able to let these dollars out into the community to build childcare capacity. So this is a part of a multi-pronged strategy. And we are hoping that you will seriously consider this opportunity. Think about how this could help support your organization to increase childcare capacity, moreover, increase quality. And with that, I'll turn it back over to the foundation, to Diane, Joni, and the team.
All right, thank you. So as Rich already mentioned, it's $300,000 that will be available through this process. The application opened today, and I'm going to turn it over to Maddie to start digging into the nuts and bolts.
Okay, so, as you heard a little bit already, this funding comes from the American Rescue Plan Act, which was instituted by the federal government and then given to us by Bay County. And so the Bay County ARPA Childcare Grant Program was intentionally created to support our nonprofit and for-profit childcare providers in increasing their capacity and improving the quality of their care. So this program is also Bay County specific, which means that all funds are restricted to use within our county. So for example, if a childcare center has 2 locations, one in Bay County and one outside of it, their grant award funds can only be used at their Bay County location. So there are a variety of ways that childcare providers may aim to increase their capacity or improve their quality. This can include expanding their ability to meet your licensed number of childcare slots by hiring more employees, but it may also mean that you're working to increase your overall license number. So through the study that we talked about already, the Bay Area Intermediate School District and BCF worked on that, and we found that Bay County has a significant gap in care for infants and toddlers, as well as a need for care during non-traditional hours and for children who have an IEP or an IFSP. So expanding the capacity to serve these populations in order to provide care during non-traditional hours is another way that you could increase your capacity. An example of improving quality would be new or continued participation in Great Start to Quality's continual process of quality improvement. All right, and then are you eligible to apply? So eligible childcare providers can be either nonprofit or for-profit. They have to have a physical location in Bay County and serve Bay County residents and be licensed through the Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs. So if you check all of those boxes, there's a very good chance that you are eligible to apply. And then some of the criteria that would make an organization ineligible to apply include if you're located outside of Bay County, if you've been debarred by the federal government, if you have any delinquent tax filing, tax debt, or assessment with the state or federal government, if you're involved in an active investigation for non-compliance or corrective action for your child care license within the past 3 years, if you're undergoing bankruptcy proceedings, and then additionally programs that receive federal funding, such as Early Head Start, GSRP, and the 21st CCLC centers are generally ineligible. Although if you offer other services that have tuition-based care, there may be some exceptions there. And with that, I will turn it over to Joni.
Thanks, Maddie. So what do you need to have in order to apply? Most of the information on this slide is going to be very familiar to you. If you apply for other funding, you've already had this information at your fingertips. You're going to need your EIN number from the federal government, your child care license number from the state of Michigan. We're also going to ask you to declare any other COVID funding that you may have received. And the reason being is that you cannot apply for funding from us if you have already been paid or reimbursed for that same item. So there's no double dipping of funds. So we ask you to declare that so we can make sure there isn't any double dipping. We'll also ask you to provide your program philosophy statement, your service hours. What hours do you offer and for families who are looking for childcare? Number of children that you serve in each age range. How many staff positions do you have filled for part and full-time work? We're also going to ask you how many you're licensed for. Do you have a gap? Do you have positions open? How many children do you serve who have an IEP or IFSP, as well as your current and past operating budget? Okay, what expenses are eligible? We have 3 categories for this grant opportunity. Hopefully this will make it easier for you. You can apply for payroll, rent or mortgage. And keep in mind for rent or mortgage, if you are requesting funding for rent or mortgage and your program shares occupancy with another business or a private residence, you can only apply for the percentage of your rent or mortgage that goes towards your childcare business. I think most of you are familiar with declaring or identifying the percentage when you fill out your tax returns. We will ask for your tax return, but you can also have a certified letter from your accountant letting us know what that percentage is. So either way, if you're only going to be asking for a percentage, we'll ask you to provide proof of that. And then the last category is somewhat of a catch-all category. It's operating cost. We actually have 16 different items underneath this category. You will find this list in the actual grant application, and we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. Some examples of those items underneath the operating cost are accounting, legal expenses, development of program or staff, office supplies, utilities. Most of those items will be pretty well spelled out. If you have something that is not in one of those categories, payroll, rent, mortgage, or operating costs, and you would like to apply for it, let's have a conversation about it to see if it does in fact fit underneath one of those categories. And if you have questions on those operating categories, we will have time for questions. So keep that in mind. We're here to help and answer any questions and make the information clearer. So as a community foundation, if you are not familiar with Bay Area Community Foundation, we typically provide grants to government entities, schools, and nonprofit organizations with a 501c3 designation. For this grant opportunity, we are working with nonprofit providers as well as for-profit providers. So if you have not worked with us, welcome. We're looking forward to working with you and build a relationship. So documents that are going to be required under nonprofits, if you're a nonprofit, most people know if they're a nonprofit. If you have any questions on whether you're a nonprofit or profit, we can help you with that. Nonprofits will need to provide their current IRS letter of determination, their 990 from 2022, and your current roster of board of directors. For profit providers, a copy of your 2022 tax return. And then again, if you are asking for a percentage of rent or mortgage, we are going to ask either for that to be identified in your tax return or a certified letter from your accountant. Everyone who applies will have to complete an IRS W-9 form. That form will be linked on the application, so you can fill that out. You'll also need your 2022 operating budget with actual revenues and expenses, and that's important. In addition, your 2023 operating budget or your current fiscal year, if it does not start in January of 2023, with projected revenues and expenses. So these two particular things are very important and something that we will review and look at. what expenses are ineligible? So the grant period for this opportunity is September 1st, 2023 through October 31st, 2024. That is the period where we are going to be providing funding for. The biggest item that is not eligible is capital expenditures. What's a capital expenditure? It is any expense that is $5,000 or higher and has a lifespan of a year or longer. Some examples of these are construction projects to expand your building or perhaps playground equipment. Those would all be considered capital expenditures. So some people may say, hey, well, that's exactly what I need to build my capacity or quality. Keep in mind that this grant will only fund those three categories: payroll, rent and mortgage, as well as operating costs. But hopefully by reimbursing you for those costs, that will free up money for perhaps capital expenditures that you feel are important. So keep that in mind, that there are some options there for you. If you have any questions about what a capital expenditure is, give me a call. We'd be happy to make sure that what you're applying for is not a capital expenditure. Next on the list is bonuses to owners or employees. Retention pay is, however, allowed. If you are an owner and you have regular and direct contact for the children and you're not solely in administration, you would be eligible for retention pay. Gifts or parties, no big bashes allowed with the grant funding. I'm sorry to rain on your parade today. Mortgage payments beyond the portion used to conduct business, damages covered by insurance, charitable contributions, political contributions, lobbying, or legal settlements. And of course, this is all part of our requirements that was given to us from Bay County and stipulations from ARPA funding. Payment of interest or principal on outstanding debts, excluding mortgage portion that is used for your childcare business. Any expense paid or reimbursed through other ARPA funding, again, no double dipping. And any expense, and here's the catch-all category, that would be considered an eligible expense by final rule, ARPA Act, or the IRS rules. Again, if you stay within those three categories that we've deemed eligible, you'll be fine. So what's the timeline? So the application is open today, and I want to give some kudos to a few providers who have already submitted and started the process. So we're excited to look those over, certainly after our event today. So application is open. It is going to be open until July 31st at 5 p.m. That deadline to submit your grant application is firm. There will be no extensions. Please, and I'm going to put my program hat on here, do not wait until the last minute to submit your application. There can be technical issues that may happen. You may have something that you forgot to add, and it will not let you submit if you have not completed all the required categories. So do yourself a favor and myself, plan ahead and submit early. Okay, I'm off my soapbox on that one. So application closes July 31st at 5 p.m. What happens then is that your application will be reviewed by staff to make sure we have all the information that we need. Once we have reviewed it, it will go to committee for evaluation, and then eventually it will be sent to our board of directors for final approval. Once those final approvals have been made, we're expecting announcements to be made by mid-September. So for us, this is a very short turnaround for our grant opportunity. We want you to get in there, apply. We're going to turn that review around and make our announcements in September. After the announcements are made, you'll be contacted either way, whether or not you're approved. If you're approved, you will be asked to submit a beneficiary agreement. This is a legal document. You will need to read that. You may need to have your attorney or legal expert review that. Once those beneficiary agreements are signed, and we are good to go, everyone is clear on what the grant is. We are hoping to cut the checks and get that to you certainly no later than October 1st, if all the stars align. So again, this is going to be a very quick turnaround. Grant opens today. You have a month to complete that application, and then we will take it from there. And hopefully you'll have your answer by mid-September and rolling with your grant by the end of September. So how do you apply? So the first thing that you're going to do is go to our website. Our website is bayfoundation.org. When you get to our website, you are going to see an orange ribbon at the top of the page. You'll see that little arrow. The fourth item on that orange ribbon is the grant portal login. You're going to click on that portal login. So when you click on that login, this is the page you're going to see. You can bookmark this page if you want to go directly into the portal without going through our website, but you are going to create an account. So if you look, there's a login button and a create new account. Once you create your account, the next time you go in, all you have to do is click the login button. So you're going to create your account. Once you create your account, you're going to be dropped into what we call the apply page. The apply page will list all of our open grant opportunities. You're going to be looking for the grant opportunity that is labeled Bay County ARPA Childcare Grant 2023. There's going to be a little description of what that is. And then over to the right, there is going to be an apply button. You're going to click on that. Then from there, you will have a two-step process. Our grant application is actually two forms. The first one is what we call letter of intent, or LOI. That is some basic information that we ask you to fill out to make sure you're eligible to apply. We don't want you to go through the whole grant application and find out at the end that you're not eligible. So we have broken up the application into two steps. Once you complete that, and as I mentioned, a few of you have already completed that step, we will review it. And if you're approved, you will receive an email from us letting you know that you can move on to the next step and you have access to the full application. Keep in mind, once you get into the full application, you can start your application, save it, log out, and come back in to finish it as many times as you need. We know that you are very busy. So you may have 15 minutes here to work on it, 15 minutes somewhere else. Keep in mind, you do not have to complete it all in one step. If you have questions on the LOI, or if you have questions on completing the application, keep in mind that you can call the office and ask to speak to Maddie or myself, or anyone working with the Child Care ARPA opportunity. That's what we're here for. As program officers, we're here to help you to make sure you have the best application that you can get. And one last thing before we go on to evaluations, our grant portal does send you emails. If you're expecting an email from us and you don't see it, please look in your spam folder. 9 times out of 10, it will be there. We actually even have an instruction for you to add an email to your saved or OK sender so that you get that directly to your inbox. And moving along to evaluation criteria. So all applications, as we mentioned, will be reviewed and evaluated by a committee, and then it will move on to the Bay Area Community Foundation. As Maddie explained, we did do a study that identified a gap of 2,524 licensed spots with a quality rating of 3 stars or higher that we have a deficit of. We're really hoping that these grant dollars will show an impact on our community's ability capacity to provide quality childcare for families. We're really hoping that these funds help decrease that gap. So again, that's part of our evaluation criteria. Is that going to move the needle? It's also a significant gap has been identified in 3 other areas. So preference will be given to those who provide service during non-traditional hours, those who serve children with IEPs, IFSPs, and those who are serving infants and toddlers. And lastly, we're also going to be looking at to make sure that you have the fiscal and administrative capacity to carry out this grant. So that was a lot of information very quickly. Myself, Maddie, and Diane and Rich have all been embroiled in this information for a long time. And so we know it back and forth, but we may not have answered or made it clear. So this is a great time if you have questions to let us know in the chat box, and Diane will let us know what those are. Diane, do you have anything right now?
Nope, so far there are no questions, and I also put in the chat box if people wanted to just hit the reaction of their hand raised, we could call on you and you can come off mute. I also want to give a shout out to Gretchen Wagner. I see her on the call, so she has been hand in hand with us since the beginning as well.
This is Marnie. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
We can, Marnie.
Oh, okay. Hi. We have a question. I'm sitting here with a couple childcare providers. We're thinking of starting and partnering with Recovery Pathways to create a childcare center downtown. We're moving our location to downtown next week. So one, did you say you could use this for a startup? And 2, I don't know how we could do that in a month, but maybe it's possible. I'm not a childcare provider, but I would maybe pick the brains of somebody else.
Diane, do you want to answer that question?
I was going to say, are you wanting, okay, I'll catch it. So Marnie, do you have an existing license that you're able to apply under? That's
No.
going to be,
Nope.
yeah, I think that's where we're going to hit the roadblock, because
Right.
they have to be a licensed childcare. Or Gretchen, I don't know if you have any insight into whether a license could come through quick enough.
No,
No.
it's highly doubtful. There are other opportunities, Marnie, though. If you'd like to talk about those, please reach
Okay.
out.
Yeah, you and I'll send you an email and we'll maybe set some time up to talk.
Sounds good.
Okay, but I have others on here that may try to snag that money with their existing program. So thank you.
There was a question just posted in the chat. What is a reasonable grant amount to request? You want to grab that one, Joni?
Yeah, that is the $10,000 question, or in this case, could be anywhere from $5,000 to $25,000 is what we're expecting. But keep in mind that that question is hard to answer. We are going to be looking at what is it that you're trying to do with these grant funds, and how is it going to improve your capacity or quality? So you're going to have the best answer to that question. And of course, with all of our grants, it's a competitive grant. So if we have one person apply, we have $300,000 to distribute. If we have 87 providers apply and they all meet the same criteria, then we will have to make those determinations. So if you have questions about how much to ask for, give us a call and we can help you put a number to the work that you want to do with these grant funds. But typically we're expecting requests in the range of $5,000 to $25,000.
Another question that was posted was, is this a competitive grant? I think you already answered that. This is a competitive grant process. Okay, someone is also asking if there will be a copy of this presentation. Yes, it will be on our website. And if you can't access it through the website, we're happy to email it to you. Just let us know and we'll get it to you. Let's see.
Diane, I can also add that on our website, we will also have the full guidelines of the grant opportunity, as well as a link to the grant application. So when you go to bayfoundation.org, if the first story, if you scroll down like 3 inches, you're going to see the childcare opportunity. Click on that page, everything will be in one spot.
Okay, also, since Gretchen is on the call, I'm assuming not, but are GSRPs eligible for this or just childcare? So, Gretchen, I'm gonna let you tag team with me on this, but the catch there is going to be, do you offer additional tuition-based services?
Yes,
I don't know. Okay,
that's correct, Diane. So if you are a childcare provider that offers GSRP and also has another childcare option, then yes. Where it gets a little sticky and where it doesn't qualify is if you have all GSRP funded children in your classroom, but some have to pay that small amount of tuition, that does not qualify. If you have very specific questions, I can also help talk through that. And many of you know me, and if you need my information, I can share that.
We appreciate that, Gretchen.
and as always, please do view the BACF staff as your front line, and then we can turf and pull people in. Just to make sure that your application gets in and we know it's coming. I am not seeing any other questions, but I'm going to ask the BACF team. Yes, we will shoot out. Joni, let's do a follow-up email and share Gretchen's email and phone number. She's shooting me a message.
Okay.
And Maddie or Maggie, are there any other questions that you guys are seeing? No? Okay. Anything else for the good of the order? And this is, okay. Oh, so this is a very good question. Someone is asking if they only have a month to spend the funds. Absolutely not. It was October 31st, 2024. So you have a full year to spend the money. So that is what your budget will be based on. If we run into issues, talk to us. There's, we can go back to the county and ask for extensions if needed. Don't tell them I said that. No, they're being incredibly supportive and helpful because they want to see this capacity here for our community.
Gretchen or Rich, was there any information that we quickly went over that you think might need a little bit more explanation from your point of view?
I don't think so.
I didn't have anything else either. Great job.
Okay.
Good stuff. Well, we hope you all will apply. Thankful to the county as well as Rich and Gretchen, all the folks at the Bay Aranac Intermediate School District, including Julie Bash. So Julie Bash has been another expert advisor for us. So very thankful. You get a few hours back to your day, folks. Have a great one. We will email everyone. Someone's asking if there's contact for questions. It'll be the Bay Area Community Foundation, and we'll shoot an email out to everyone that was on the call. Thank you.